Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashe. In the next 2 weeks, the presidential and National Assembly elections will take place. Political parties and their candidates are doing all within their power to gain the upper hand over their opponents. So much happened within the week, but a few of them caught our attention. Many may find some of the happenings hilarious, but beyond the swipes, standoff, and boycotts, there is no better time than this election season to see the country in its unclad glory. It got to the post under controversial circumstances, and some have even accused him of being a usurper, but that did not stop him. Immediately after his appointment, he swung into action, swearing in 250 members of the election petition tribunals. We wait to see how and when the dust settles on the suspension of Justice Walter Onnoghen as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Our person of the week is Kingsley Moghalu, the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. Your first reaction to the video you're about to see could be laughter, and even if you haven't seen it many times, it never gets old. Since this video went viral, loads of reactions and comments have and will continue to pour in, especially on the social media. But beyond the comic relief, questions should indeed be asked. Have we as a people lost our human touch that we trivialize mishaps like this? All because of politicking? How difficult is it to deliver an honest and quality job that meets building standards? Has corruption also crept into intra-party activities, that funds set aside for specific projects are embezzled? Well, you decide. From Kebbi State, we head to Imo State. We often say, united we stand, divided we fall. But the APC campaign in Imo leaves us in doubt of who will be standing and who will take the fall after the governorship election in the state.
History must be made right. But you know, as it stands today, those that challenged us, those that came with army, police, and SSS, are now sitting boldly as the owners of the party. But let me say to you, that is Iberiberism chapter 1 verse 1.
You will vote APC for all our houses of reps. On the governance of Imo State, I want to make it absolutely clear. APC is not in alliance with any other political party. We have our candidate, we have the capacity, we have the people, we have the men, and above all, we have God. So support the choice of APC members to fly the flag of our party for the governorship of this state in the person of distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma.
Don't allow intra or inter-party to remove your sense of responsibility. Your vote is your vote. Choose whoever you like across party and ethnicity and religion. I will raise up the hand of APC candidate. This is the candidate of APC.
A president, a party chairman, and a governor, all under one political platform, but with divergent views. Again, you are the electorate and hold the trump card, so choose wisely. The PDP Kebbi State campaign podium mishap and the drama-filled APC campaign in Imo State make it to the top of our rallies of the week. Big Talk is with presidential candidate of the Young Progressive Party, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. Welcome to Big Talk. My guest today is none other than Professor Kingsley Moghalu, who is a presidential candidate. Welcome to this show.
Thank you. Presidential candidate of the Young Progressives Party.
Young Progressives Party, yes.
YPP.
YPP, yes.
Yeah.
Many people have said, what are you doing in politics? I mean, you don't have what they call structure. You're not a money bag, and people don't win in this country or in these parts. You don't even win local government. You don't even win governorship. Don't talk of presidency.
Well, I have structures. I may not be a money bag, but our party, the Young Progressives Party, is present in 36 states of the Federation and in each local government area of this country. So our structures may not be as old as Methuselah, by which I mean the PDP, or Methuselah's younger brother, the APC, because they're cousins. But we have a structure through which we are reaching people with our message. Don't also forget that in the 21st century, there are many tools of disruption, such as direct media communication with millions of people through television and radio, and through social media as well. So our strategy is to combine all. So we have a structure, and the party, like I told you, is present everywhere. Also, I have a personal structure, the Kingsley Moghalu Support Organization, which I established in the first half of 2018 after I announced my intention to run for president, and that is present in about 30 states. So we have structures. They may not be famous structures, but they are structures and they're working.
These structures, I've heard about you having those people in offices, and when people talk about structures, it's not only by having offices in states, it also means you have a crowd of following, whether the crowd is made up of thugs, or whether they are made up of
or whether it's just a cash distribution machine.
Yes, and those are the things they call structure.
Absolutely, yeah.
It also means that you have to have a lot of money to keep feeding this.
Absolutely, this machine.
You have to have a local government chairman of your campaign. We have a large retinue of followers and things like that.
No, we cannot.
You don't have that.
No, and I have no apology for not having that, and I will still win. See, what people don't understand is that strategy at its core is differentiation. There's no way I can come into politics the way I've come into it without a previous political background, but with a lot of leadership background, with a lot of knowledge and experience in strategy and making things happen, and do the same thing that the APC and the PDP are doing. I can't, I'll be mad. I'm not competitive against the APC and the PDP because I have not stolen government funds the way they have been stealing government funds. So why would I want to go and do what they're doing? You have to appeal to the people of Nigeria in a different way, because the ground is actually fertile, because the people of Nigeria are tired of the old, recycled, unproductive, visionless political class. And therefore, the moment is ripe for someone like myself, who does not belong to that old order, to present a different vision to the people, and they will buy it. Now, I want to just demonstrate this to you. In 10 months, we have gone from nowhere politically. When I announced, other than people who knew me when I was deputy governor of the central bank, or in some other capacity, many people would say, he's new. But for many people, that was a breath of fresh air. They were very happy that someone new, someone bold, someone different was coming into the scene. But since that time to now, we have gone from nothing politically, blank slate, to becoming the effective third force in Nigerian politics today. all the polls indicate that after APC and PDP, it's the YPP and the presidential candidate of the YPP in terms of popularity. That's already in itself a big achievement. Secondly, we have already changed the narrative in Nigerian politics. Before now, there were no real serious candidates who were intellectuals or technocrats with a real grassroots political following, which is what we have built up in the past 1 year. And combining that with the middle class or the educated class in the urban areas, we have an electoral force. So we will win this election, not by the usual calculations, but by very different means that will produce a result of victory. Much in the same way that Donald Trump calculated and executed his strategy in 2016, and it produced a shock when everybody thought they were walking to the coronation of Hillary Clinton and woke up in the morning and Donald Trump was the president. Yes, I know you tell me that is in America. But
No, that's what I was going to say.
yes, I know. Some people, see, but let me explain to you, Sam. You know, you're an intellectual, and that's why I'm very happy to be having this conversation with you. Let me explain to you that every major global trend which began in the West always ended up affecting us here. First of all, when communism...
The globalization of Moghalu.
Well, Moghalu as the manifestation of a global phenomenon of disruptive politics. When communism fell in the late 80s, we were watching it on television and thinking, wow, these are interesting things happening in Europe. The Berlin Wall fell. We didn't know how it was going to affect us directly. When America now subsequently became the sole superpower after the fall of communism, the first thing they did was to call the client states of Africa and all these poor countries and said to them, well, you don't have the Eastern Bloc anymore. We are now the only kid on the block. And for us to deal with you, you must become democracies. That is how the military dictatorships began to fall one by one in Africa.
Absolutely.
And eventually, some people became real democracies. Some dictators removed their khaki, tried to put on agbada, including one we know in Nigeria, and passed away in the attempt. So, definitions of reality, we should be very careful about what is reality. We make reality, and we are creating our reality as we go.
I don't know whether you have contradicted yourself or whether you are going to clarify this. You
Yes.
said, in terms of popularity, you have APC and then you have PDP. And
Yes.
then you have,
That is being known. Being known.
Being known, meaning what?
Being known means having name recognition.
Yeah, but that can translate into polls, meaning that you say you already
But you see, we are
decided that you're not going to win this election.
No, we're rising in our trajectory. That's all I'm saying. I said we went from nothingness to being the third force, and we're moving to second and first force. We will defeat the APC and the PDP in February. Just
So
watch.
between now that as we speak now, you're still rising, even though APC and PDP are
We
still
have
ahead of
risen.
you.
We have risen enough to defeat the two parties. It will become manifest in February. We are called the third force simply by the general media or the alternative force. But it is the elections that will prove that things have actually changed.
You know that Agbakuba and Obasanjo were the ones starting this idea of third force.
Sure.
What do you make of it? Because it looks like you are trying to be the one to appropriate it.
We have worked hard.
You mean that they have petered out?
I think that our work has delivered better results. Let me put it that way. The YPP's work has delivered better results because it is work that is based on something genuinely new, something genuinely different, something genuinely bold. I, of course, respect the former President Obasanjo, but you cannot define him as something new. So many people are more attracted to something new because they are tired of the old order, which includes him. To be very frank, with all due respect. So people are no longer interested in those things. Electorally at the ground today, it's the young people of this country who own the future. A large majority of the voting population is young people. Yeah. They are not people who are impressed by, those people, the OBJs and all. They're not. And this is the miscalculation a lot of politicians are making. They are living in their past. and thinking that that will continue to define our future. People like us say no, and the Nigerians are more interested in people like us, electorally speaking, because we have new ideas, we're fresh, but I am very experienced in statecraft. I mean, I've been a deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I've been a United Nations official for 17 years, going from entry level to the highest ranks. So you cannot call me a neophyte, if you see what I'm saying. But as a recycled politician, I am not one.
Yeah, but how do you come from being a technocrat?
Yes.
Which essentially what your experience has been.
That's right.
To becoming a successful politician.
To
be a politician, you need some kind of apprenticeship. You are not going through any apprenticeship. You're just jumping into the master's game.
Yes. Let me explain something, Sam, and that's a good question. First of all, I've always been successful at everything I've done. I've had different careers in the last 30 years. Started as a lawyer and a journalist, became an international civil servant, went from politics and law to development to economics and banking. I have been successful in each one. I'm a very versatile person. I'm a man of many parts. The second thing is that leadership, true leadership, is a transferable quality. You can transfer it from one profession to another profession. I have chosen to transfer it from the technocratic sphere to the political sphere, and I haven't exactly done badly at all. And I believe that the polls will show that we have made, working with other Nigerians who are very bold and visionary as well, and who share this vision, that we're going to turn things around, because the fundamental condition is that the ground is ripe. If I had done this in 2015, it would have been a joke. But in 2019, why does it surprise you that there are so many people who are wanting to be president? It never happened before in this country. It tells you something fundamentally has changed.
Okay. What is this?
That has changed. It is that the failure of the old recycled political class.
No, you have to use that. You have to make it more specific.
No. In fact, what has changed is that people have woken up.
Woken up to what?
Woken up to the fact that these old politicians cannot take us into the 21st century.
What happened?
What happened was this. In 2015, they moved from PDP to APC. Invested, so much hope was invested in President Buhari, and those hopes came crashing down in a plethora of incompetence and nepotism and divisiveness. The people's spirit was broken, has been broken. So they now say, APC we've tried, it didn't work. PDP we've tried, it didn't work. We now tried APC, thinking he was the Messiah. It has not worked. To hell with all of them. So we now want something new and different. That's what has happened. There is a deep resentment in the citizenry towards the old politicians. They are the last ones to know it, because they don't go down. You saw, for example, how they refused arrogantly, as usual, to show up at the debate, at the presidential debate.
Well, debates, I've never seen in my own study of political debates, any election that has been won and lost. It can be lost in a debate, but it is hard to say which election in history has been won on a debate.
A debate is only one of several factors, but it's an important factor. In Nigeria today, it was not as important in the past. But remember that in Abiola's time, his debate with Tofa was a very important factor. And Abiola was perceived to have won the debate. Now, if you look today...
People believe Abiola had won the election even before the debate.
That is true. But you see, in today's situation, people have many candidates. People are struggling between the old and the new. Which one do I decide for? These ones, we've always known them. They don't perform, but, well, the devil you know better than the one you don't know. Some people say, no, we will not go with the devil we know. We will go with the angels we don't know. But the question is, which one of those angels? So now here you come to the debate. The first time, everybody is appealing to the electorate in different ways. But for the first time in this particular cycle, the citizens of Nigeria, all 60 million of them that are estimated to have watched the debate, are now watching at the same time, watching and listening on radio to hear from the people who want to lead us. The old order arrogantly absented themselves, or because they couldn't answer the questions, they did not appear. In that act, I want to tell you, they lost 50% of their votes. I can tell you that, because today, the only people who are going to vote are not those illiterate people they give 5,000 naira. Many people, students, young people, educated people, unemployed youth, middle class, are determined to go to the polls this time. So there are a lot of new voters.
I told a young man today, before coming to the studio, that today I was going to feature you as a guest. And he said something quite interesting. He said, well, you know, this is Nigeria. Does this guy really think that Nigerians take him that seriously? That is he not a dreamer?
Well, so was Barack Obama when he started running for president. And people said, a young black man trying to be president of the United States, he's dreaming. That's exactly how people respond. Donald Trump, he's a dreamer. How can he be president? Hillary Clinton, you know, she's been this, she's been that, you know, and she's been running. You see what I'm saying? So again, I point you to how things that may seem to happen in other climes affect us. Macron, the same thing. He was not taken seriously in the political space until the last minute when he began to. So the fact that it has never happened in Nigeria is precisely the fact. That's the reason why what has never happened before will happen in Nigeria in February. We have enough supporters who are not thinking like your friend, who are prepared to vote for me and for the YPP. Millions of them.
If you have been following the campaigns, this has been an unusual campaign by any standard.
Yes.
But if you see the campaigns, we've been seeing rallies and great crowds.
That's right.
And it seems to be almost exclusive to the APC and PDP.
Yeah, and those crowds
I've not really seen a Moghalu crowd.
Oh, I've had a massive mega rally in Abuja, which you may have missed. Yeah, but the fact is that those rallies you see with the APC is the same people.
People move from Kaduna to Imo?
Of course. They move. No. Within similar geographies, within the same contiguous geographies, pretty much the same people. Those people are paid to make up that crowd. It's an illusion, it's an optical illusion that our failed politicians create and use it like masquerades to intimidate anybody who is a child. When I was a child, if I saw a masquerade, I would think it was some spirit and I would be scared. When I grew up, I knew that the masquerade was maybe my uncle or maybe my friend, and that you could actually just unmask the thing and, hey, oh boy, now you. You understand what I'm saying? This is what our politicians have done. They have turned themselves into masquerades, you know, petrifying those who are not discerning. And people begin to, and they of course have impoverished the citizenry. So they've made the citizens beholden to them, and they're, So that's what happens with all those crowds. It amounts to nothing. And it will amount to nothing in 2015. Those are rented crowds. They don't represent any real, and if it's the same people that are going to each rally and taking 1,000 naira, what does that mean?
What is a Moghalu presidency going to look like?
Very good. Now we're talking. We're moving into the realm of the actual presidency. Yes. And I'm very excited to move into that discussion. The Moghalu presidency will be a transformational presidency in this country. It will be transformational for a number of reasons. First, I will come to the presidency with a world view. That is to say, a mental map of the world, a philosophical interpretation of the world, and a determination on where we're going to as a nation, where we're coming from and where we're going to. That is to say, I will come to the presidency and I will inject a sense of global strategic intent amongst the Nigerian populace. For the first time, we will have a national ambition. We don't have a national ambition. The only thing that ever unites Nigerians is football. Other than that, they're just a motley conglomeration of tribes and religions and, Mbati and Okoros and what do they call them? Abokis. All these kinds of, patterns of derogation. We don't see ourselves as Nigerians. I see you as a Nigerian before I see you. I don't particularly care where you come from. It may be an interesting sociological fact, but I cannot judge you because of your ethnicity or your religion. It's just not in my mental process. You see, I worked in the UN for many years, and the UN is diversity incorporated. There are 180 countries in the UN, and these countries are represented among the staff. So we're working together, competing, and I thrived in that atmosphere and prevailed. So I'm very good at working. In fact, let me tell you the truth. If I come into the presidency, and it's very monocultural, I become very uncomfortable. I am actually much more comfortable in a diverse environment where people are from different backgrounds. So we will create that national ambition. Second very important difference is that we will approach Nigeria's problems and challenges from a foundational perspective. We will not be scratching the surface of problems. We've been doing that for the past 60 years, and we've only gotten poorer. We haven't gotten richer. We've only gotten more divided. We haven't gotten more united. So there's nothing to say that the old ways have given us anything good. So that's the second thing, a foundational approach. For example, as I've said to you, a national ambition, a philosophical worldview of the Nigerian state. What does it mean to be a Nigerian? Who are you? Why are you a Nigerian? And what is our ambition in the world? The third major difference that my presidency will bring is that we'll run Nigeria like a corporation. I'll be like a manager, working together with Nigerian people. That's the difference, that Nigerians are like stakeholders, and we will all work together to run Nigeria to the better and higher levels of effectiveness and efficiency. And I'll do that by establishing 4 units in my presidency that will drive my governance. The first is the Office of National Strategy. The second will be the National Office of Risk Management. The third will be the Office of Performance Management. And the fourth will be the Office of Human Capital Development. I'm not talking about huge bureaucracies. Small units, 4, 5, 10 people. What they will do. The Office of National Strategy will develop our national ambition over 4 years, over a 4-year term. That before we leave in 2023, we will achieve ABC in the area of the economy, in the area of infrastructure, in the area of social infrastructure like health and education, in the area of electric power. We will set those goals. And then, even in the more intangible things like this question of nationhood, building the idea of a Nigerian nation, which we will do using all the tools of modern communication. So we will set benchmarks, milestones. By 1 year, we should be here. By 2 years. So the Office of National Strategy is in charge of that whole process, strategy, design, and execution. Yeah. The Office of Risk Management will help me as president manage the risks that can stop us from achieving our strategic goals. Those risks are several. It could be political risk. Maybe political pressure makes you begin to pander to vested interest, and you deviate from the strategic blueprints that has been designed by the Office of Strategy with all the inputs. Or it could be strategic risk, like depending on crude oil, which every leader has done, and it has failed, instead of moving away to diversify the economy, really, not just by talking. Third, it could be operational risk. The civil service may be weak, so they cannot deliver improved service delivery. How do you manage this risk? So the Office of Performance Management will be the monitoring spirit. It will monitor everybody's performance against those strategic benchmarks.
Use that word in a positive sense.
In a positive sense.
This is the only time in a long time I heard that expression, monitoring spirit, has been used
in a positive sense. Yes.
But monitoring spirit is usually
the reason I use it is because Nigerians, being very religious, are familiar with it. Yes. So if you say monitoring, Nigerians say, sure, monitoring spirit. So that's why I turn it into something more positive. They will be following the strategic framework to see how far it's being implemented. And if any department or any ministry is not doing what they should, they will come to the president and say, here, this ministry is not delivering, and here are the reasons. We've done the interviews, we've done the assessment, and then I will call the official who's responsible in, and if I don't get a good reason why you have not achieved in 12 months, you're still lagging on your 6-month goal, if you don't give me a good explanation, I'll sack you. I'm sorry. There's no. So, and then because there must be accountability for non-performance in my own management and leadership thinking. You cannot continually have non-performance without accountability. That's politics. That's not leadership. I'm a leader. I'm not a politician. Politics is to me only a path to leadership. So the Office of Human Capital Development will now help us to retrain and retool the civil service of this country. So these, in brief, is what those 4 units will do. And this is the key, they're going to be the key driving force of our government.
You seem to hit a point about nationalist spirit, patriotic spirit.
Of course, it's very important.
Yes, does it mean that and the Shekiri man that I am will not be important to me, but the Nigerian will be the one that is more important to me than Shekiri. Is that not hypocrisy?
No, it's not. It's very interesting. I was at the Awolowo family event today as one of the speakers at the unveiling of the New Look Tribune. And I was greeting people, and I said, how we're going to build a better Nigeria. He said, there is no Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba man. I laughed. I said, sir, we need to have a discussion. Because I don't believe there's anything mutually exclusive between being a good Shekiri man or being a good Igbo man and being a good Nigerian. I don't believe so. In the countries where you have a spirit of patriotism, in America, there are whites, there are blacks, there are Asians, there are people of different kinds of ethnic backgrounds. And that can be a source of challenge, but they've managed to overcome it. And when you invoke the idea of America, all the differences melt. They salute the flag. That's what holds them together. That is why I have said that we will establish a national ambition, a worldview charter, and we will begin to teach it to our children from elementary school to primary school, what being a Nigerian means. And therefore they will grow up to know that, yes, I'm Igbo, but it doesn't stop me from being a good Nigerian. Yes, I'm Yoruba, but it doesn't stop me from living in peace with somebody who is Hausa Fulani, because our national ambition will rise above the things that divide us. Our ambition will be, under my presidency, to become the richest, the most powerful black nation on earth. That means we have to get to work and stop focusing on our ethnicity. We need to create wealth in this country and take millions of people out of poverty. When you focus people's minds on that and you train them with the skills, create the educational system to bring out the abilities, the human capital, this becomes the focus. And therefore you will be Shekiri, but you may not be as mesmerized by your Shekiriness as you will be focused on being a proud, patriotic Nigerian.
Well, that's very interesting thing to say. That's why some people say maybe you're a dreamer. Because,
I'm not.
Because a Shekiri person will still love the Shekiri dance.
Yes.
Still love the Shekiri
and that's
language.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
You still have to do all of that.
Nothing wrong with that.
But while you're doing all of that, and you're asked to be a Nigerian, you have to have a trust on that the other ethnic group, while still maintaining the identity, can reach across.
Exactly. That
without
trust,
the barrier.
That trust is what leadership builds. And that's what, as president of Nigeria, I'll build that trust as a bridge builder. Don't forget, I was a United Nations official and a nation builder for many years. I helped to bridge the divides in the former Yugoslavia, in Rwanda after the genocide, in Cambodia. So this is something I know like the back of my hand.
Even in the European countries, where you have various...
the Belgium, the Flemish and the Walloons.
And the
Walloons.
French.
Yes.
They are there.
I know.
They live together.
Exactly.
But they are very conscious of their individual identity as Flemish and so on.
And that's
even
okay.
In the United Kingdom.
That is why, let me tell you how, that is why number one job is the constitutional restructuring of this country, so that we return it to a proper federation, so that you can be a good Shekiri man and a good Igbo man and a good Yoruba man and still be a good Nigerian. It is the constitutional restructuring which will give us space to develop in a harmonious way, so that you don't have to lose your ethnic or cultural identity, but it's not necessarily in direct conflict with being a Nigerian. The reason why we think that being a Nigerian and being whatever we are sociologically is incompatible is because we have had incompetent leaders. The only thing that brought them to power is exploiting those differences. They are not unifiers, they are dividers. I will unify the Nigerian nation.
To unify Nigerian nation is a big task.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Because we had the civil war in the process.
I know that.
We'll come back. In the past decade,
yes, people
have been speaking consistently of the fact that the ethnic suspicion between Nigeria, among Nigerians now, hark back to the 1960s. The only difference is that we have not created a tension that has led to a reenactment of a war that we had.
No, but
we had in the 60s.
Yes, but you see, President Buhari has divided Nigeria far more than... there were certain specific circumstances that brought about the civil war. Yeah, ethnic suspicion, yes, but there were certain acts that took place. Now, those acts are taking place today, but in smaller doses. But the corrosive impact is actually far more than 1966 because we fought a war. The war ended. We decided to have national reconciliation. And we could have made much more progress if not for the kind of leaders we've had, especially in the last 3 years. Very divisive, very corrosive. Somebody appoints 16 out of 17 national security chiefs from his part of the country and goes to another part and tells them that this is only done on merit. So you're saying the only people who have merit, and those people are saying to him, wonderful, when it comes February, we will also vote on merit, and we hope you don't mind. Because you're saying to them, indirectly, you have no merit. The only people who have merit are from my part of Nigeria. And it is very interesting.
And if you want to get involved in the security of the country, you need people who can understand every part of the country. That is the point. So yes. it has created insecurity. Insecurity. And in fact, the most insecure parts of Nigeria are where those people come from. So where is their merit? In a sense, also it has said that during the time of the PDP,
yes,
Okonjo-Iweala once said that only people from the southeast were passing exams and were qualified to get jobs in the civil service.
Well, I don't know that quote, and I don't remember.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that they say, okay.
Okay, I understand.
I said it. No. I told me from the north. I said, well, we are doing it, but don't forget that it happened during the time when Ayim was secretary to government, and we're replacing agency after agency from people who were not from the southeast, people from the southeast, and sometimes those who were from Jonathan's extraction. So they were saying that, well, it is your turn, and then it is my turn.
No, it's not true. This is a false argument.
Very false argument.
Because...
very tendentious.
Very tendentious. First of all, objectively speaking, I'm not holding brief for Jonathan. I'm not a member of the PDP, and I'm actually out in the election to defeat the APC and the PDP. One is a kettle, one is a pot. So let's just get it very clear that I don't have sympathies for the
kettle to boil the water and the pot to cook the soup.
Well, the point is that one is a frying pan, one is fire. So if you jump from one into the other, it's not a solution. There are two big faces of the same problem we've had in this country. So I want to make that very clear. But Jonathan had a lot of people from the north in very key strategic positions in the security sphere, and some from the south as well. There was balance. In this government, there is no balance. Now,
but they will also say that for this government, so it's a benefit. They will say, well, they will say key ministerial positions also went to the south, like ministries, Amechi's ministries,
you see,
and so on.
You see, you can have this argument until the end of the world. Yes. And it's not an argument I'm interested in, because to me, it is scratching the surface of the problem. I am going to the foundations. How do we build a nation?
The question is, how do we build values?
How do we build values? Yes.
How do we build values?
Yeah, building values.
Part of the problem we have in this country is that we resort to tribe, we resort to religion, and when we do that, we forget that even within those tribes and those religions are universal values that could help all of us.
Absolutely.
But we forget those values I'll hide under them.
That is why in the reform of the educational system, when I become president, we are going to highlight the teaching of these values, because a worldview has 7 components. I don't want to get into the deep end of philosophy here, but one of those 7 components of building a worldview is not just a plan of action, but a value system that a society decides that it agrees to. Do you understand? As something that they rely on to strive to develop themselves and make themselves better. Now, as president, I will require the teaching of ethics as a compulsory subject in primary schools and in secondary schools. This is one of the ways to address the value system problem, by addressing the next generation. Some people are too old and too far gone for us to do much about them. But why don't we catch them young? You know, and build a different Nigerian generation that has an ethical orientation. But when you are teaching ethics, you're also creating opportunities for everybody to prosper in an economy that actually works. If you teach all the ethics and there's so much poverty because of economic management incompetence, it doesn't matter how much you try to fight corruption, because people are poor, they have an incentive to be corrupt. Because there's no social security system, they have an incentive to steal so that they can build a home and will not have to, get into old age without a roof over their head. So my government will address these foundational issues, a social security system, because that is important. You have to revise the pay. Look at the pay structure and the compensation structure for teachers or civil servants. You look at all these things that drive corruption. In Singapore, civil servants are very well paid. Even in India, the civil service is as attractive as the private sector. You just make your choice as to which one you want.
The United Nations salary structure is based on the United States civil service.
Exactly. Improved on it, improving it actually. Yes, so I mean, I was a United Nations official for many years, and I wasn't wealthy, but I could take care of myself. I mean, I had things, cushions. We had home leave every year, every 2 years. I could come to Nigeria with my family, with my wife and all my children, paid for. So all these things are part of what can make public service attractive. And you don't have a big incentive to be looking for open drawers with cash or fiddling with public bank accounts and things like that. But beyond ethics, there must be 2 other things in fighting corruption. One is that we must be proactive, preventive, by creating systems that are just more transparent. The more transparency you have, the less. You will never wipe out corruption. But
transparency is also, you can have a system that is transparent, but you really need the people first, the leadership to be transparent.
That's the point.
For the system
transparency. So the example that the leader gives out is very important. If as a leader you keep the company of crooks and people who are known to be of shady character, you're setting an example. If as a president you keep the company of brilliant professors and Nobel Prize winners and Silicon Valley whiz kids, you're transmitting something. You're transmitting a message unconsciously to young people especially.
This is the way
to go. This is the function of leadership, and I understand it. So I will provide leadership by example. We will be proactive in the way we fight corruption by creating transparencies. For example, I have said that every government that the federal government of Nigeria will submit to the National Assembly under my presidency will be subjected to a forensic audit before it is submitted. That way you eliminate budget padding. It's just there are experts who can do it. You understand what I'm saying? Then we will be impartial in accountability, so that when you want to prosecute or punish for corruption, it's across the board, starting with my own government. And then, so those are the kinds of things that can make an impact in rejuvenating a society's morality or moral values. So that's the way I see it.
One of the problems we have had in this country is education.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I attended public school.
Yes.
And later on, secondary school at Government College, Ughelli,
yes,
now Delta State, and in the University of Ife, and so on. And we had pride in the quality of our education.
Absolutely.
We were confident that we could stand anybody at Harvard, could stand anywhere at Oxford.
Of course.
And the point is that we did stand up to anybody anywhere.
That's true.
Public education today is in a shambles.
Has collapsed.
How do we get around that? Because what is happening is that we are now fetishizing private schools.
Yes, exactly.
But these private schools are also product of this society.
Absolutely.
And the teachers are also products of public schools that we have made to look unnecessary.
Yeah. No, as president, I'm going to return public schools in this country to their former glory. You know, I so much value education and intellectual things that when I finished my tenure at the central bank, I could have been a managing director in Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley. I had all those offers. I ignored them. I chose to become a professor. And I went to the university, at Tufts University, and became a professor of practice in international business and economic policy. So I've been in an academic environment as a teacher, and so I understand how educational institutions should actually function. Now, we will invest more in public sector education. You see, everything depends on your value system. If your value system prioritizes education, such as mine does, there's no way I would be president, somebody who went to become a professor instead of going to make millions of dollars in private sector banking. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's no way I'll be a president without applying the same value system. We are going to move education budget from about 7% to minimum of 20% to start with, starting from the 2020 budget. But throwing money at the problem is not the solution. What are we investing in? For one, as president of Nigeria, I will end ASU strikes permanently in this country. How? Because the 1 trillion naira Universities Revitalization Fund will be established. It is more important to me that universities, tertiary institutions are world class than that I'm spending 1 trillion naira a year on petroleum subsidy. It's about a matter of what is your priority for the people. So my priority is education. Human capital, building the skills that will make this country truly wealthy. So we have to invest in education. So apart from sorting out the issues with ASU, my government will kill all those issues by doing what was agreed, right? We'll give the universities autonomy. That one is for sure. We will invest in teacher training. We will retrain and recertify teachers throughout this country. It's going to be a big investment, but it will pay off because our children in public schools will come out better for it. So the products of public schools will come back to what they used to be. Then we will invest in curriculum reform. We're going to look at the curriculum and see how do we prepare our children to be competitive in the 21st century. We'll bring in these things like ethics, like the national worldview, and things like that. We will teach kids more towards technology and innovation and entrepreneurship. Everybody going through educational institutions should know how to run a business. Because the world of today and tomorrow is private sector led, is an entrepreneurial world. It's not the government that is going to create the millions and millions of jobs directly that people need. So we will invest in how children learn, reforming the pedagogy. How do children learn? Not cram and pour, which is what we have in Nigeria today. Yeah. People just go and cram exam and then come. No, you teach kids to research. You teach kids to interrogate, to understand things and to interrogate things. In my class as a professor in the United States, 60% of the exam was your original research paper. 20% is your ability to lead and participate in class discussions. 20% is your physical attendance. This is the way my 100% was divided.
So we should emphasize exam here.
Exactly.
Rather than knowledge.
Rather than knowledge.
Yes. When I was lecturing in the US,
yes,
that so that even open book exam was also a very positive way of making a person understand. So when you read it, while you're answering the question,
but there's an emphasis on interpretation and the originality of your interpretation and your argument, your ability to argue. So
it's a practical sense.
Very practical. Yes, I love that educational system. So and then we will invest in educational infrastructure naturally, because we must make sure, for example, that every child in a public school in Nigeria, whether private or secondary, has the tools for learning in the 21st century. You know, in Estonia, they teach kids coding, even in primary school, computer coding, they're learning it. And then here, I mean, you know, so at the very least, we have to make sure that every kid has a laptop configured only for educational learning purposes, not for Facebook and Snapchat. You know, that you can do at home. but when you come to school and that computer is with you, it can only do certain things that are educational. So those are things that can be fixed and set. So this is my idea about education. We need to invest much more in education. We need to make education a political priority, because no nation, no country can rise beyond the strength or weakness of its educational system. And that's what Nigeria is suffering today.
The greatness of a country does not consist in the number of its citizens, but the quality.
The quality of its citizens. But in Nigeria, we think that because we're 200 million people, that makes us a great country. 90 million of who are living in extreme poverty. Where does that leave you? So we're very shallow in this country, the way we think, and that's because our political leaders are shallow. So they've taught everybody to be shallow. But when you have a leader or a leadership that brings the citizens back, I will engage Nigerian citizens in a direct relationship. We'll be having regional town hall meetings where we'll be discussing all these issues. The common man can come up and ask me a question as the president, and I'll answer him, and we can have a debate. And this is how you empower your citizens. We will empower our citizens and train them, you know, to understand their political and economic power and potential. So we liberate the minds. We will liberate the minds of Nigerians, because Nigerians are being held in bondage, in darkness by our recycled politicians. And it is for their own purpose, not for the good of the citizens. So we will liberate the citizens by teaching them, first of all, that the office of the citizen has power and must hold me as president accountable, and my government, because there must be a social contract between the government and the citizens. We will do this for you. This is what the government must do, but you must pay your taxes. And if we don't do this, here's how you will hold us accountable. That's how all societies that are developed have developed. There's a two-way relationship of trust, which is sorely lacking, but we will establish in this country once again.
Healthcare has been a very terrible thing with us.
Absolutely.
It has reached a situation where those who have the money go to the UK or go to the United States.
I know. I'm coughing now. When they cough, they go abroad.
Yes, they have those who have just a little to travel to go to India.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the rest, about 1 million, they just go to hovels.
Absolutely.
That are called hospitals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where there are no drugs, or quote Abacha. When
they did their coup. Yeah.
You know, consulting clinics.
Absolutely.
And even the doctors to consult.
Yeah.
Some of them are products of an educational system where they do miracles to pass exams.
Absolutely.
Where they bribe their teachers in order to go.
Terrible.
So it's a mess. Kind of vicious cycle.
But when it comes to healthcare, here's what we're going to do. I believe the social infrastructure, which is what builds human capital, that is the educational system and the healthcare system, are the two most important infrastructures to actually focus on, other than electricity. You know, so we will revamp our healthcare system by making sure that we have universal health coverage, making sure that the health insurance covers more than the 10% it covers now to 60–70% of Nigerians. Making sure that skilled healthcare workers exist in our healthcare system, especially at the primary health level, so that people have confidence in primary health institutions rather than going to the chemist to go and get, quack chemists. We will build one world-class medical facility, one in each geopolitical zone, so that it doesn't matter how complicated the disease is, it can be tackled in Nigeria. And we will not be spending the $1 billion we spend every year in medical tourism. We will have, as president of Nigeria, I'm going to set up a diaspora return program that will be well managed, And the priority that we'll be targeting will be healthcare workers and education, teachers and healthcare workers. We will not exclude other professions, but these two will have the highest priority because that's what Nigeria needs most. So we will bring back a lot of our doctors and healthcare workers abroad because we will establish a diaspora return fund, which will pay them 70% of whatever salary they were earning abroad for 5 years. It will be a salary subsidy of 5 years. Within that 5 years, we've set out what you will do as a medical doctor, as a teacher, how you build up a team under you, what equipment you will bring back with you, and teach people how to use to give people good health care. You see what I'm saying? So that there will be practical outcomes from bringing back the diaspora into this country. We have the human capital, but many of them have just run away. I was once arriving at an airport, and I saw a young lady among various people greeting me, and I said to her, "What's your name?" She says, "My name is Jennifer." I said, "What do you do?" She says, "I'm a medical doctor. I recently graduated from the University of Nigeria in Nsukka Medical School." And my heart sank. I said, "Tell me, promise me that you're not going to Canada." And she said to me, "You know what? I am planning to go to Canada." It was painful. I said, "Okay, can we make a deal? Let's give it a year. Let's see if I become president. If I become president, I promise you, you will not want to go to Canada." She says, "Okay, I'll wait and I'll vote for you." I'm telling you, it's very interesting. So it's painful the way we're just, everybody in the health sector just wants to run away. Yeah. Well, everybody in Nigeria wants to run away. Yeah. Many people want to go to Canada. Even the people in Katsina State, they now want to go to Niger and get green card in Niger. Or the equivalent of green card. I mean, what does that tell you?
We have a modern flux or influx or outflux of people to Canada.
It's huge, amazing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We must build Nigeria into a country where people want to live and work. Okay. Yes.
Well, we could go on and on and on.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Well, we had Professor Kingsley Moghalu, the presidential candidate of the YPP. It's been a pleasure, and good luck on the elections on the 16th of February.
Well, thank you very much. See you at the inauguration.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for watching the program today. You can catch up with my published columns and articles on my website, www.samomashey.com. Also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @SamOmashey. Enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, be good.